folks. It's Zach at Feel Free to Argue. And I guess I've been having a bit of bad luck lately, especially this morning. This morning sucked. Um, well, I just dropped off my daughter for some tutoring, and I had, was going to the grocery store to pick up a few items. So I'm jogging across the parking lot, and I drop something. And I go to turn around, and I guess I brace, my leg to turn around, and that put too much pressure on some part of it. And the only way I can really think of to describe the sensation was that it literally felt as if somebody had taken a baseball bat and swung it as hard as they could into the back of my calf. I even looked around, it's like, who the fuck did that to me? But, there was nobody there. It was just me being, an old guy falling the fuck apart. Uh, Mick Jagger had it all right when he said what a drag it is getting old. So I hobble back to my car. I drive home. Even deploying the clutch caused so much pain that it was making my eyes water. And then went to the doctor and got the pleasure of hanging out in the waiting room. And so now I'm dosed up on lots of ibuprofen and a Vicodin. So apologies for I imagine not being terribly coherent. So what I think I'm going to do at this point is I haven't even had a shower. I must look quite the sight. What I want to do is I wanted to read something, which I found lately while I was doing some research for a short story I was writing. This is not something I use, just something I kind of came across, which is one of the joys of actually researching for stories, is just finding random things that are interesting. And I wanted to say beforehand, well, first two things. I think this is going to end up being two parts because it's fairly long. And the second part is that I'm not going to tell you who it is really until the end. And the third thing I wanted to say is that I don't necessarily agree with all the things that are said in it, but I do find them all interesting. So without further ado, I'm going to start reading from this. My actions should be self-explanatory, and since in our self-obsessed culture words seldom match the deed, writing a mission statement would seem questionable. So judge me by my actions. Maybe some will be scared enough to wake up from their dream state. Am I therefore a martyr or terrorist? I would prefer to be thought of as a spiritual warrior. Our so-called leaders are the real terrorists in the world today, responsible for more deaths than Osama bin Laden. I've had a wonderful life, both full and full of wonder. I've experienced love and the joy and heartache of raising a child. I've jumped out of an airplane and escaped a burning building. I've spent the night in jail and dropped acid during the 60s. I have been privileged to have met many supremely talented musicians and writers, most of whom were extremely generous and gracious. Even during the hard times, I felt charmed. Even the difficult lessons have been like blessed gifts. When I hear about our young men and women who are sent off to war in the name of God and country, and who give up their lives for no rational cause at all, my heart is crushed. What has happened to my country? We have become worse than the imagined enemy, killing civilians and calling it collateral damage, torturing and trampling human rights inside and outside our own borders, violating our own Constitution whenever it seems convenient, lying and stealing, right and left, more concerned with sports on television and ringtones on cell phones than the future of the world. Half the population is taking medication because they cannot face the daily stress of living in the richest nation in the world. I too love God and country and feel called upon to serve. Can only hope my sacrifice is worth more than those brave lives thrown away when we attacked an Arab nation under the deception of weapons of mass destruction. Our interference completely destroyed that country and destabilized the entire region. Everyone who pays taxes has blood on their hands. I have had one previous opportunity to serve my country in a meaningful way. At 8:05 one morning in 2002, I passed Donald Rumsfeld on Delaware Avenue, and I was acutely aware that slashing his throat would spare the lives of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of innocent people. I had a knife clenched in my hand, and there were no bodyguards visible. To my deep shame, I hesitated, and the moment was past. The violent turmoil initiated by the United States military invasion of Iraq will beget future centuries of slaughter, if the human race lasts that long. First we spit on the United Nations, then we expect them to clean up our mess. Our elected representatives are supposed to find diplomatic and benevolent solutions to these situations. Anyone can lash out and retaliate. That is not leadership or vision. Where is the wisdom and honor of the people we delegate our trust to? To the rest of the world we are cowards, demanding Iraq to disarm, and after they comply we attack with remote control, high-tech video game weapons, and then lie about our reasons for invading. We, the people, bear complete responsibility for all that will follow, and it won't be pretty. It is strange that most, if not all, of this destruction is instigated by people who claim to believe in God or Allah. Many sane people turn away from religion, faced with the insanity of the true believers. There is a lot of confusion. Many people think that God is like Santa Claus, rewarding good little girls with presents and punishing bad little boys with lumps of coal. Actually, God functions more like the Easter Bunny, hiding surprises in plain sight. God does not choose the lottery numbers. God does not make the weather. God does not endorse military actions by the self-righteous. God does not sit on a cloud listening to your prayers for prosperity. God does not smite anybody. God watches the sparrow fall. You notice that it continues to drop, even to its death. Face the truth, folks. God doesn't care. That's not what God is or does. If the human race drives itself to extinction, God will be there for another couple million years, watching as a new species rises and falls to replace us. It is time to let go of primitive and magical beliefs and enter the age of personal responsibility. Not telling others what is right for them, but making our own choices and accepting consequences. Who would Jesus bomb? This question is primarily addressing a Christian audience, but the same issues face the Muslims and the Jews. God's message is tolerance and love, not self-righteousness and hatred. Please consider, thou shalt not kill, and as ye sow, so shall ye reap. Not a lot of ambiguity there. What is God? God is the force of life, the spark of creation. We each carry it within us. We share it with each other. Whether we are conscious of the life force is a choice we make every minute of every day. If you choose to ignore it, nothing will happen. You are just less conscious. Maybe you are less happy. Maybe not. Maybe you grow able to tap into the universal force and increase the creativity in the universe. Love is anti-entropy. Please notice that conscious and conscience are related concepts.